What's up, beautiful people? I just got up, brushed my teeth, and I'm about to make breakfast and get ready for that live we're going to do later where we're going to talk about, we're going to analyze and react to Chris Stern's interview with police. He also did the interview with his wife, speakerphone, Deborah Stearns, and some interesting things were said. The Stearns lamented about not truly knowing their son, if he was able of and capable of doing these things. They spoke about some of his odd behavior, his history, etc. A lot of people are focusing on the Madeline Soto, Jen Soto part of the interview, or rather the Jen Soto interview with the part 2. We're going to cover that. We'll cover that on Sunday. That'll be a part of our show. If I'm available to do a live on Sunday, I might have to do some work and stuff like that. But if not, we'll cover it on another day. It's all good. We'll get to that. It's very interesting. It's probative. I want to talk about it. But the most important interview, in my opinion, that came out with the dumps that were dropped by Grizzly True Crime in the docket is the Chris and Deborah Stearns interview. We're going to talk about that today at, I believe, 12:30 we're going to do it. So make sure that you're locked in and you're viewing. But what I wanted to come in with this just unprofessional live, I'm not wearing a shirt and tie or anything. I'm in my t-shirt. I still got a little bit of my sleepy face on, is to basically give you guys a little bit more insight into the fact that police are not at this point going to charge Jen Soto. Now, they said keywords. They said at this point, they have not decided that she's done anything illegal that's going to result in her being charged. I think that's morally incorrect. I think more than enough information came out that could support a child neglect charge. I believe so. But hey, this is these guys down in Florida. It's whatever they want to do. It is what it is. I'm not a part of the investigation. I don't know what they are working with or they're not working with. So I'm going to believe that they're acting in good faith, especially since they did such a good job with the overall investigation on getting Stephen Stearns and bringing him to justice, or at least partially to justice right now. He still has to go to a trial. But I think there is a silver bullet and there's a silver lining to this. That silver lining is that if somebody's going to take Jen Soto down, it's going to be Stephen Stearns. We know from the emails, you take that with a grain of salt because Deborah Stearns, in my opinion, is not the most credible person. We take that with a grain of salt. Deborah Stearns saying, hey, listen, stop protecting her. We know, and you know what you know. You need to stop protecting her. She was a part of this. We have Deborah Stearns also saying, like, hey, you always put your friends before yourself and before us. You need to stop doing that. This is the time to stop putting people before you. Madly in love with this woman. She doesn't care about you. None of her family cares about you. You're riding in there and she's out there free. That's what the mother told her son in the jailhouse emails that rocked the internet a couple of weeks ago. I think that Stephen Stearns has the goods to take Jen down. The question is he willing to bring that information forward for us to get some type of charge against Jen Soto? Listen, normally everybody on the internet who's of good moral constitution would have sympathy for Jen Soto for losing her child, would be supporting her as she goes through this process of seeking justice against Stephen Stearns. But when you know this case and you understand the choices and the decisions that Jen Soto made, it is impossible to believe that she is an innocent soul who is also a victim. Her negligence caused this to happen. Her negligence, her neglect, her inability to properly mother and supervise her child, to care for and love her child, all of this is my opinion, of course, resulted in this predator having access to this child. So even if that's all it is and all it was, to me, that's still worthy of her facing a consequence. And these DAs in a room saying, oh, she suffered enough. She suffered enough. She lost her only child. And look at her. She's got ADHD and bipolar and all these other stuff. Sending her to jail, convicting her of a misdemeanor charge or a low-level felony, and sending her to jail between probation, which is no jail time, and 2 to 5 years. That's nothing. That's not justice. Let's just leave her alone. Telling you, that's the conversations that they're having. I've been in those conversations already with the bleeding hearts. I'm telling you. That's what they're thinking, but they're thinking wrong because, like I said before in my other video, it's about the principle, ladies and gentlemen. It's about the principle. She did Maddie wrong. She has to pay. She has to pay. So we can set an example to other mothers and fathers out there that if you neglect, if you do your child wrong, if you're negligent, if you feed the lamb to the lion's den, you lead the lamb to the lion's den, you have to pay too. We need to give an incentive for people to understand, well, I don't want to be a parent. Let me do the right thing. Let me give my child up. Let me let the child live with aunties. Let me let the child live with grandma, because I don't want to be a parent. Because if I screw up, they're going to send me to jail. They're going to lock me up. That's the message we need to send to these negligent and neglectful parents, like Jen Soto. Of course, it's my opinion that she are these things. So we need to keep our prayers going. We need to stay vigilant. We need to keep reacting to all this information that's coming out and examining it and analyzing it in the hopes that eventually evidence will be released that will show that this woman deserves justice. And you know what? If it comes out that she's just, as we say in my island, because I'm Caribbean, that she's a dundu. That's what we call a really naive and stupid person. A dundu. If it come out she's just a dundu, and she don't have no common sense, she lacks, I don't know, any semblance of intellect to understand what was happening to her child, letting this pure little lamb go into the lion's den with lubrication and porno cameras set up and big drapes on the windows and a small little queen-size bed. It looked like a full. Remember, the king size is down in the master bedroom where Jen sleeps peacefully by herself because she don't want to be bothered with her daughter, and she don't even want to be bothered with her boyfriend. So she goes send him to sleep with the child in that full-size bed in that dungeon-style room. That sex den. If it turned out she's a dundu and she ain't know no better than what she did, it is what it is. We can't send somebody to jail just for the hell of it. We have to send them to jail with facts. We have to afford them true justice as well, which is impartiality and factual-based convictions. Because that's what we do as Americans. Because we want to be fair and just. That is the foundations of our country. That is the foundations of our Constitution. That is the foundation of our collective morals. I get it. I'll accept it. I believe in the system. Some of you may not believe in the system, but I believe in the system, and I will take that and I will walk away because that is the right thing to do. I'd rather let 1 million guilty people go than lock up one innocent person. But regardless of what the judicial decision is on Jen Soto, as a father and as a parent, I can say, I don't respect you, Jen. I don't respect you as a maternal figure. I don't respect you as a mother. I don't respect you as an adult. I don't respect you as a human being. You failed your daughter. He could have fooled you once. He could have fooled you twice, but he fooled you for 4 or 5 years. Out of your own mouth, you were with him for 7 years. That is her testimony. That would have made Maddie 6 years old. And I guarantee you, when these predators get around their prey, they immediately start the process. It may not have been a physical process, but it could have been a grooming process where he was showing pornography to a 6-year-old. I guarantee you the grooming process started at 6 years old. Jen Soto is a female. Females are excellent with dates, not unlike us ignoramus men who can't remember our anniversaries and sometimes even our loved ones' birthdays. Women don't play those games. She said she's been with him for 7 years. That would have made Madeline Soto 6 years old. I guarantee you his process started at 6 years old on that little girl. Shame on you, Jen Soto, for not protecting your child. From my understanding, she barely worked for that entire relationship. She had just gotten a job. She was always on and off working. Her man never worked from day one. His father supported him. We're going to hear that in the interview that we're going to cover around noon. That's why that interview is more important, because that interview is truly a continuation of the videos that I was doing on Stephen Stearns called Making the Monster. This interview is actually Making a Monster Part 3. We're going to hear from the Stearns' mouth how this monster was made, ladies and gentlemen. The father's going to talk about an injury that Stephen Stearns had. We heard that from friends, but now we're about to hear it from the actual parents. And that also gives credibility to those friends who are calling in to GHI and all those other channels and giving interviews. Those were probative and real interviews because now the father's going to bolster those same claims. He had an accident. After that accident, he started having mental health issues. And it ran all the way into adulthood where this guy was doing weird and funky things and his father had to take care of him. He had no initiative to go to college. His mother, this was said during that interview. I listened to a little bit of it, just a little bit of it. So most of it will be reacting fresh together. But he said his mother did most of his high school work for him to graduate. The man is not even high school educated. And while he was staying with Jen, he was paying Stephen's rent. They weren't living together like a couple. They were living together. The father of Jen was treating them both like separate tenants. So Jen was paying rent for herself and Stephen was paying rent for himself. The father was making bank off of these fools. And you know who was paying that money? Stephen Stearns' dad. He was paying that money, ladies and gentlemen. He was also sending Stephen Stearns spending cash so he could survive as an adult. These parents of Stephen Stearns failed Stephen Stearns. If he can't act autonomously as a 30-something-year-old adult, you need to put him in a mental health institution or something like that. You don't coddle him. Just like Jen Soto coddled him, allowing this bum to live with her and cohabitate with her and allegedly raise her daughter. Unbelievable. But I'm going to stop this right here because I could keep going for a million years. And I want to save it for that show later. So make sure you tune in today. Less than 3 hours away, we're going to be doing this live. It's going to be a riot. It's going to be informative. It's going to be deep. It's going to be worth watching, guys. Make sure you tune in. I'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace.